Rise, Tarnished, because I know that you are one of those 953,426 players. Elden Ring can be described as the ultimate mix of the most popular elements from the Soulsborne series, with expanded mechanics and a more accessible aspect, which resulted in From Software's most popular title on PC ever. I remember that almost every gamer, including myself, could not simply stop talking about it and praising Hidetaka Miyazaki's brand new magnum opus, since it has a deep story, a fantastic open world structure, some of the most challenging bosses ever. Yes, Melania, I am looking at you, and even more varied gameplay. If you were alive and an active gamer on December 10th, 2020, you probably know that Cyberpunk 2077's launch happened that day and didn't go very well. CD Projekt Red's RPG was the most anticipated release of the decade after around 9 years of waiting and multiple delays, so when it finally got out with major issues such as crashes, game-breaking bugs, graphic glitches, and freezes, it was a disaster. It was also when the game recorded its highest peak of concurrent players on Steam right off the bat, over 1 million on the launch day. This also explains why the launch problems were all over the place at the time, leading Sony to temporarily remove the game from its digital store and even offer refunds. Fortunately, the Cyberpunk 2077 we get to play now is quite different from that, as the studio has worked really hard to fix the game in the years past its initial launch.
Despite being released in 2013 and already considered a classic title by many players, Dota 2 is still huge, maintaining its position as the most played free-to-play MOBA on PC ever. That happens because the game is still in constant evolution, with the release of multiple patches throughout the years, which add a lot of content, updates, gameplay adjustments, new heroes, and is extremely active in the esports territory. For instance, it has more than 100 playable characters with different abilities and playstyles, resulting in a very varied gameplay, full of possibilities. Its all-time peak players, just under 1.3 million, were registered almost 3 years after its initial launch, which also reflects how the game continues to expand and attract new players.
Better call Noah, because this arc is quite full. Jokes aside, Lost Ark quickly became a hit when it first came out, registering a nice peak of 1,325,305 concurrent players the very next day after its launch on 11 February 2022, due to its free-to-play nature and mixture of MMO progression and ARPG combat. Many players got lost inside its vibrant and action-packed world, and it was one of the most promising RPGs at the time. However, its popularity fell as quickly as it had arisen when people started to stumble into a rather frustrating grind system and pay-to-win elements. You can still find some passionate, hardcore players enjoying it though, thanks to its constant updates and vast content.
Monster Hunter Wilds wildly expands the franchise by having new and more accessible mechanics and systems, which ended up reaching a more global audience. And you can see some of that reflected in its all-time peak of a wild 1,384,608 concurrent players, which was registered just a couple of days after its launch on 28 February 2025. I must confess that I was one of these players. I was so happy with how its dynamic, open environments made hunting so much more realistic and fun. Additionally, its brand new focus mode enables more precise strategies and attacks, further deepening the combat. I may be getting in the mood to play it again just by talking about it.
It was on September 27, 2023, that Valve decided to launch Counter-Strike 2 as a free upgrade to replace the already huge Counter-Strike Global Offensive on Steam, which naturally attracted fans' attention and even more players. A couple of years later, More specifically, on April 12, 2025, the iconic multiplayer tactical first-person shooter surprisingly registered a new all-time peak for concurrent players, more than 1.86 million. Many people from the gaming community attributed the game's active presence in the competitive esports scene to its sudden surge in popularity on this specific date, but we can't confirm that for sure. In any case, one thing is undeniable. This new record marks a significant point in the franchise's history, and its continued growth as one of the most popular titles ever. As soon as the early access to Palworld hit the gaming market at the beginning of 2024, everyone was obsessed with it. Whether it was literally playing it or simply following the news about the controversies caused by its similarities to the Pokemon franchise. It is a survival multiplayer game developed by Pocket Pair, where players basically explore an open-world map in search of collecting cute-looking creatures known as pals that are used for activities like farming, combat, and trading, alongside some crafting elements and guns. The striking combination earned the game the adorable nickname Pokemon with Guns, and a peak of 2.1 million concurrent players only a few days after the early access launch. Its accessible price and sudden interest from content creators and streamers were also important boosters for the game's visibility around the world, which helped the achievement. Whether it was for the impressive AAA graphics or the intriguing Chinese mythology on which it is based, Black Myth Wukong caught the attention of many people right from the first trailer. When it was finally launched on 20 August 2024, it took only 2 days to reach a peak of around 3.4 million concurrent players, reaching second place in the coveted ranking of games with the highest number of players on Steam ever. It is an action RPG that follows the story of the classic 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West, where you play as a staff-wielding monkey to fight challenging bosses and collect the 6 relics of Wukong's senses. I bet that you know more than one gaming friend who has been, or still is, very addicted to PUBG Battlegrounds. If not, it is probably because you are the addict. Anyway, we are talking about the battle royale that started the trend for the genre that invaded every kid's phone in the following years. The game simply had an explosion of popularity in less than a month after its release on December 21st, 2017. Its all-time peak is an insane record of 3.2 million concurrent players on January 13th, 2018, which has not been surpassed by any other game to this day. Sure, you could say that PUBG's popularity is not the same anymore, but it is still pretty up there with a passionate fan base, and it is very unlikely to lose its crown anytime soon.